Welcome back to another episode of the #1 show for technology channel sales. Yeah, I'm owning it. I'm saying it because we're saying things that nobody else is saying. We're unafraid. We are courageous. We are vulnerable. And we're talking about the things that need to be talked about in order for us to grow, evolve, and to carry on this great legacy of technology channel sales. I want to introduce today's guest, and this is someone that simply needs no introduction in the channel. So many of you are familiar with him. He's a true Renaissance man. He's a restaurateur, a cyclist. He checks so many boxes and has so much experience. He's been in our space for 40 years. He's a legend. He's a pioneer, and he's one of the foundational voices in our industry. So you may know him when you're out and about by that trademark fedora that he wears. But his impact, well, goes way more than the hat. Today's guest is Andrew Pryfogle. Like I said, it's been nearly 4 decades for him shaping technology channel sales. From his early days at MCI to building his own companies, advising partners, and now helping lead the conversation on how AI and evolving customer needs are reshaping everything that we do. He's seen it all, the wins, the losses, the shifts in our business, and he's still here today helping to guide that next generation forward. Listen, in this conversation, we're going to get into some unfiltered truths, just like y'all expect. We're going to talk about channel managers and partners, where they're getting it wrong, and how AI is disrupting the transactional seller. So it's that time, folks. Sit back, relax, turn those headphones up, lean in, and get ready for some conversation that's packed with wisdom, honesty, and some actionable insight from one of the most respected voices in our business.
Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show
Welcome to Shut the Hell Up and Sell, Unfiltered, the podcast that's not afraid to tackle the uncomfortable truths and bad habits that keep you from reaching your potential. I'm your host, Ronnell Richards, award-winning sales expert, author, and top influencer in technology channel sales. Each week, I sit down with industry influencers and top performers for bold, honest conversations that are designed to cut through the noise and deliver real, actionable advice that you can apply immediately to grow your career and boost your sales success. No fluff, no excuses, just real talk, real influencers, and real results. Let's get into it.
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Yeah.
So today I get the opportunity to sit down with the legend, the Fedora. Like you've got one of, you should probably, I think we should adjust and evolve your brand a little bit, Andrew, to where you kind of got like a Michael Jordan situation going on. You know, Michael Jordan's got the jump man. We got to get something with you with just the Fedora. What do you think? You in?
You mean like a just the silhouette? Is
Like the silhouette, yeah.
That's
How
interesting.
cool would that be?
Might have to play with that.
I think it'd be pretty cool. I think not only would it be cool, it would be a thing. I think we could make it into a thing.
I like it.
Listen, Andrew, I am so excited to have this conversation with you, and I have been looking forward to it ever since, we had an opportunity to chop it up a few months back in Louisville over some delicious whiskeys. First of all, you're a legend in the business, and you've accomplished so much. And man, if you guys don't know who Andrew is, I don't know where you're at. Put a slight Google. You don't even have to Google his whole name. Just go AND, and boom, and it comes up. Andrew Pryfogle. But yeah, I was really excited to have this conversation because I learned some things about you that I didn't know. And I'd love to get into a couple of those things today, just to kind of share it with some of the audience, because there might be some things that people don't know. But beyond that, this show is 100% about, hey, what's going on in the channel? Where have we been? Where are we going? Where are we at? How do we get to where we need to be? And taking a just unfiltered approach and look at, hey, here's where we're messing some shit up. And here's what we can do better. But I think that sometimes when I kind of preface it and I frame it that way, some folks think that that this is a bad space. It's not. It's a beautiful space. A lot of great things. That's why, again, I was looking forward to bringing you on, because, dude, you are part of the foundation of this business. So what we're doing on this show is honoring and paying respect to those that have laid the foundation, and also leaning on your expertise, on your experience, on your wisdom to help take us to the next level.
Yeah. Cool, man. I'm in.
You feeling
Let's
good
do
about
this.
that?
It feels great. This should be fun. This should be
So
fun, man.
let's throw a few rapid fire rapport building questions
Right.
first.
Go.
So I got a question for you because I know a little bit about your some of your other businesses. So my first question to you is, are you an eat out guy or a stay at home and cook?
Ooh. Depends on the night of the week, Ronnell. So every Friday night I take my wife out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But every Saturday night, certainly every Sunday night, I'm home cooking. And I love to cook it. I love to cook throughout the week. So really, we go out. We love to go out to eat at great restaurants, but that's nowadays it's about once a week.
About once a week, huh? Okay,
Yeah,
so here's the reason why I asked you that question
yeah,
is some may not know, but you are a restaurateur, and
yeah.
so and that is a dream for so many of us, like owning a restaurant or a
And a
coffee
nightmare for
shop,
others, man. A nightmare
and a
for
night
others. Ronnell.
a nightmare. So my next question is, because that's a dream for so many of us.
Yeah.
Um, what did you learn through your experience in being a restaurateur that you like? What's that thing that you learned at the end to where you'd say, "Hey, listen, you know what? I probably would have liked to have known this or taught myself this at the beginning."
Yeah. Probably just simple like don't do it. That might be the first thing. Um, the restaurant business is the hardest industry I've ever been a part of.
Really?
It certainly fulfilled a dream that we had for a long time, both my wife and I. That we loved eating out at great restaurants. We loved not just the great food, but when you have a server that it just goes over the top, they're just really gifted at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that always drew us. Like, man, we used to have a fictional kind of a list. Like we'd have a server and we'd look at each other halfway through the meal and say, do they make the list or not? Oh yeah, hell yeah, they make the list, or no way are they on our list, right? And that all
What's the
had
list? What are the boxes
the
they
list
check?
was, is this somebody that I would want serving at my restaurant,
Ah,
right?
uh-huh.
And you can think of experiences, I know I can, experiences that where a server has just blown my mind, and others that they just are just collecting a paycheck and they just don't care, and it comes out in the
Oh yeah.
experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I loved attempting to build a staff of people like that. um but I also learned that was really, really hard to do in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Staffing was the number one challenge for sure.
You think it's easier in other businesses or easier in technology?
I think it may be because I think the stats probably back this up. The restaurant industry is very transient. People
Mm,
come and go all the time. These are it's a hard job. It's late nights. There's a lot of unfortunately a lot of substance abuse in the space and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. And we had an old saying just in a tight circle, that this person was amazing until they weren't, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they're great, and then holy cow, they come to work completely shit faced, and do something awful, right? It's like, oh no.
Okay,
uh,
so we got to
yeah.
dig into that. I want to know one of the craziest things that you ever saw or experienced as an owner of a restaurant. And since I
um
put you on the spot, I'm going to give you one of the craziest things from this is an unfiltered show, guys. This is an
yeah, yeah,
unfiltered show. So
yeah.
like one of the craziest things from my experience in being an entrepreneur and owning a company. So I had an employee that was using company computers to send pornographic pictures of himself to some random girl somewhere, right?
Boy.
And here's the thing, his girlfriend slash significant other also worked for me. And they
Oh
sat
no.
in side by side cubicles. and I
Oh
had to
no.
fire that guy. Of course, I fired the guy, right? And I have no idea how he explained that that night, but
My goodness.
this is some of
Yeah.
the crazy stuff. So give me a crazy restaurant story.
Um, there's two probably that come to mind right away. One is with my wife, who, if you've ever met her, she's total sweetheart. Doesn't have an angry bone in her body. She's gets along with everybody. Um, Huge smile on her face, like all the time. And I'm standing at the pass. That's where the food comes out from the kitchen, on
Yeah,
plates and
like the little area beef, like with the window.
yeah, sort of. And we had an open kitchen, so it was in the body in the heart of the restaurant. But food would come out, fire steak, fire scallops, fire whatever, and that's expo. That's what we call it in the restaurant business. I'm standing at expo. I'm doing that job, and one of the servers runs up to me and says, "Andrew, you got to get out into the patio. Susie is losing it on one of our servers. So on Jose, by the way. What do you? I immediately drop what I'm doing. I run out there, and Susie's totally yelling at one of our servers,
Yeah.
and she's completely lost her mind. And it's like, holy cow! I've been at the time we've been married for 36 years, and I couldn't remember a time where I'd seen that, right? And I quickly found out that Jose had mouthed off to her, and he was one of our top servers.
Uh-huh.
She asked him to go take care of a table, and he said, "I'm too busy. You go take care of it yourself," or something like that. And it pushed her button, and I had to physically escort the guy off the property and say, "Dude, you made the one error. You pissed off my wife. You got to go." That was that.
All right.
But
So
that,
did he bust your windows? Did he
no,
key your car?
fortunately not. Fortunately not. No ramifications from that. But completely unexpected, right? You just couldn't plan for something like that. The other one was really disruptive, and we were able to avoid it. But I had an executive chef one night pull the entire kitchen crew into the walk-in, um, to have a private meeting with the entire kitchen crew to tell them that he was going to be taking another job at another restaurant. He wanted to bring the entire kitchen staff with him.
Wow.
And the and
That's bold.
the miscalculation he made was, his sous chef um, immediately called me at home and said, "Andrew, we got to meet, but we can't meet at the restaurant. We got to meet somewhere else. I got to tell you what's going on." And he spilled the beans, and we had to fire our executive chef the next day, right? Um,
Yeah.
so it's like those types of things that doesn't happen in technology, right? Does it?
Uh, kind of does. you know, actually, that sort of thing probably happens a lot, Andrew. I mean, you think about with like sales managers and
Pushing
directors and
people.
VPs. They're moving to other.
Yeah.
Now having a meeting with everyone that probably doesn't happen. But in terms of telling, hey, listen, I'm going over here. I want you. Yeah. I,
Yeah, no
I think
question.
I think
But
that
that
happens a
but
lot.
but think of the impact that would have gutted the entire staff overnight,
Oh, that's
and
horrible.
and
Yeah.
we would have had to shut down. And you would have had, 30 other employees in the restaurant that would have been out of work because of that decision by that one executive chef, right?
Yeah, that's horrible,
Um,
man.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there you go.
And
There you
all
go.
right, so now we've had a little bit of insight into the restaurant world. So
There you
the
go.
takeaway, ladies and gentlemen, don't do it. But
Don't do
here's the thing though, Andrew. I've always had this dream.
I
I've had this
know.
dream that I could be like Rocky Balboa. I just
Yeah.
wanna I
Yeah.
just wanna like shake hands with people and be like, hey, hey, and that's it. Walk through the restaurant, not
Oh,
have
yeah.
any responsibility,
Yeah.
not care about what happens. I just
Yeah.
want to walk, hey, how's your meal? Okay, all right. Take pictures. That's what I want to do.
That was the favorite part of the job, Ronnell. That was it. I mean, I
That
love
was
doing
it.
that. A busy Friday or Saturday night, walking through my restaurant, saying hi to people, and
Okay,
and
so how
uh,
do I
and I,
get that part? How do I just want that.
oh man, maybe some AI simulation. There's got to be. This is
That's as close as we're gonna get.
That may be the closest you're going to get. I think if you have a restaurant for, the 20, 30-year-old restaurant that has an amazing management staff that runs it day to day, and the owner gets to come in and just do exactly what we described. Yeah, that probably is achievable at that level, right? But from a practical perspective, 99% of restaurants, the owner does a hell of a lot more than just shake hands, right? And they
Okay.
have to clean up all the other stuff that happens.
Well, that's not for me. So, yeah, I don't want to do I don't want to do any of that. So, you are, a man of many talents. You've done a whole lot of things in business. We'll get into some of that stuff, but I want to know, because I'm always looking for something to do that's not business. I'm a geek for business. I'm a geek for
Yeah.
sales. And so I spend a lot of my time, working on business ideas. My travels centered around business. And so I don't have a lot of hobbies. Actually, I
Uh,
don't have any hobbies.
yeah.
So what about you? What do you do? Do you have a hobby? You
Yeah.
do something that you use to de-stress?
Oh yeah. Yeah. A few things. And by the way, I disagree with you, man. I think you do have a hobby. You know a hell of a lot more about bourbon than I do.
You know
Um,
what though? That's business too, buddy. It, it really
fair.
is. You know what I always
Fair.
tell people about business and bourbon is that it's business before bourbon for a reason. Like, business is what I'm a geek for. Bourbon is, it's a I don't know, magic elixir that kind of gets people more comfortable talking
Yeah.
about business and being receptive to education. So it's kind of like it's part of the recipe, and I've learned a lot because of being involved in that business. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not Scott Forbush.
Yeah.
Scotty lives and dies by bourbon. Like that guy, like,
Oh
he
yeah.
can teach you a lot. Who did we have out on that trip? There was somebody else that was really into it. I can't remember. Maybe it was I had too many glasses and I was seeing two of Scott
I
Forbush.
know. I know. I for certain did. I had too much. Mei Lee, wasn't Mei Lee big into bourbon?
No. Look, May, if it's not tequila, she doesn't want to have anything to do it. But it's very fun watching her drink it, though. That was
She is a
hilarious.
riot.
All right,
I had a
so your
blast on that.
hobbies, what do you
All
do?
right, hobbies. It used to be my younger years. I'd love to get on my bike and go for a ride. I miss those, and I still threaten to go do that a lot, but I haven't done it in a while. So hobbies right now, fly fishing has got to be
Ooh.
top of the list. Love to go fly fishing. Standing in a river, fishing is an amazing way to clear my mind.
Mm.
I do a trip every year, up in the mountains in Northeast California that's completely off the grid for 5 days with no cell phone, no power, no nothing, just out there eating amazing food and fishing. That's a great way to clear my mind. And then probably the everyday stuff. We moved to New England about 20 months ago now, and so we live in Western Massachusetts in what's called the Hill Towns in the Berkshires. Town of about 700 people. We're on a bit of acreage with some beautiful view, and I've planted this amazing garden that is like putting off amazing vegetables right now. And
Uh-huh.
so, right, I go tend my garden. Can you believe that? I never thought I'd be that guy, but I can't believe the tomatoes or cucumbers that I'm pulling off my garden right now and cooking with, right,
Yeah.
with my own veg. That's amazing. And the last thing would be kind of woodworking. I've built
Oh,
some
wow.
furniture. I love to build. I built like a twin size bed swing
Uh-huh.
in our back patio, and a couple of matching chairs. And I love to do that stuff, those kind of weekend projects. Another great way to clear my mind. So there you go. There's a couple.
Wow. Gardening and carpentry. I'm impressed.
I don't know if I'd call it carpentry. I mean,
Well,
that
I would,
sounds.
man. Compared to what I do. Listen, brother, I can barely pull out a saw. I don't even own a saw.
Oh
so
man, there you
like,
go.
so yeah,
There you
I
go.
to me, you are a full-on carpenter, buddy. You might as well be an architect. I don't know, like,
Uh,
compared to me. So I think it's super impressive. And the gardening thing, in my book, I talk about gardening a bit,
Yeah.
and how as it relates to sales and business. And I got an appreciation for gardening when I was a kid because my dad, he wanted to kind of like, I think, teach us where food comes from, right?
Yeah.
And
Smart.
how the process works and all that. So we had, a greater appreciation. And yeah, I learned through it that I've got no desire to garden, but hey, I'm there for you, Andrew, to eat your vegetables. And
I don't know what's next for me, but it's got to be a sign of age, right? Because it's like now my wife and I were like, "Ooh, did you see that bird? What kind of bird is that?" We're like,
you know what?
"I never cared about birds before. Where did that come from?"
I'm getting a little closer to that too. So here's the thing. The older we get, the more we look for like simplicity, right?
Yeah, that's
Because
true. There's truth
our
in that.
lives, and especially as entrepreneurs, are so
Yeah,
frenetic and there's so much going on, and we're
yeah,
doing so much, and there's action, action, action. And so we start to appreciate some of these more simple, tangible
yeah.
things. Would you
Oh yeah,
agree?
no question. Totally agree with that. That's it's super attractive. You know, how do you slow down and just appreciate the small things around you, right? I prefer to be home now because I travel so much, like you, right?
Oh yeah.
Given the choice, give me home in my backyard or my patio and my pool, whatever, hanging out with my family all day long compared to getting on the road. But the simple, you
Well, I know
crave
a
it,
lot of people in our
crave it.
business can relate to that.
Yeah,
There's
no doubt.
so much travel for folks. Now, that's a great segue, Andrew. It's
Good.
time to
All
get
right.
into the business, man. So, for those of you, first of all, thank you for watching the show. We've had just great engagement, and I've had, as I've been out and attending conferences and things. A lot of you have come up to me and said, "Hey, love this episode." For whatever reason, the Dave Dyson episode is what people talk about a lot. But I
Ah,
think
good.
Dave pulled no punches in that bad boy. But that's what we're about here. This is
Yeah.
about, again, growth mindset. It's about, hey, let's look at our warts, and then let's figure out how we can collectively continue to build this industry and take it to the next level. So,
Yeah.
like I said at the top of the show, as a veteran entrepreneur of our space, and I believe Andrew, it's been about 30 years, right?
Yes, geez, 80 MCI, residential customer service in 1987 is when I
How about
started.
that? Dude,
Crazy.
you're knocking on 40 here in a minute. That's awesome.
Shit.
I feel like I should be like military. Thank you for your service thing, because you've seen and been through a lot. And again, that's one of the reasons I was really excited to have this conversation with you, because I know you have a unique insight that a lot of people don't have, and can give us some direction on what comes next. So
Yeah.
at this point in the show, this is when I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's bring it. What is that topic that you want to talk about? What is
Yeah.
that challenge that you're seeing in our business? And let's get it out there, and then let's start working on how we fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I've been in the channel specifically working with, sellers, agents, trusted advisors, for a long time. And started a couple of companies around that model, of course, and have had a lot of experience on both the vendor side, the master agent TSD side, and of course on the agent side. Um, the thing that has really stuck out to me over the past, say, just the past 2 years is a theme that I think is really really important for partners to kind of change their thinking around. And the partner, and I would say channel managers that support partners, people in the channel in general, they've become what I would describe as a traffic cop.
Mm.
Let me describe what I mean by that. Right, if I'm a traffic cop, I've got, I've got I have a customer that asks me, "Hey, I need a quote for this." I go over here, I get two or three quotes. I come back, I provide the quotes back. They ask me for another thing, I go get that, and I bring it back, and I go give it to the customer. Channel manager, same thing, right? Partner asks for this, I go get the answer, I provide that, and I'm doing this traffic cop motion constantly, where I'm just directing information. And I think that we've always done that. And frankly, there's been some really good businesses built around that, right? They're like just really good at getting answers and following up. And if you just like keep your promises and return calls and communicate, that's like 90% of the battle right there, right? But what I've realized in this world, in today's age, traffic cops tend to get run over, and there is a traffic cop out there that's way more efficient than you and I can ever be, right?
Speak
It's
on it.
Google. Google.
Mm-hmm.
Google would be like the most efficient traffic cop out there. And now ChatGPT is even more efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think it's a wake-up call for this channel that you can't, if you are just going to continue being a traffic cop, you are going to lose relevance with your customers. And so, so what's the opposite of that? For me, we have to get really good at bringing insights and challenging our customers to think differently. And what's the good news about that is that's precisely what they want right now, right? What they look for in partners is help me sort through all the noise and the confusion and the chaos, right? Like I get hit up every single day from brands trying to sell me something, or I can't scroll through Facebook without seeing 18 different ads that, that are targeting precisely what I'm thinking about over the past 24 hours, right? I mean, they got inside the algorithm and it's all now being force fed to me, and it's frustrating. And in business, it's nobody is telling me something that I haven't already heard 50 different times.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody actually gets me to pause and think differently about something, wow, their value to me goes through the roof, right? Suddenly they're different. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of partners still make. Of course, be responsive, be ridiculous, what I would call ridiculously responsive, right? Steve Gerhardt, D&M, right? His SLA is now.
Mm-hmm.
That's his SLA, right? So, I mean, so be responsive for sure. But man, if I can call up a Gerhardt or Dyson or, Dan Marsh, or go down the list, right? Go down the list of all these guys, Marco Sprimo. If I can call these guys up and provide an insight to them that they hadn't thought about, that can completely change the way they're thinking around how they're going to grow their business next, I matter to them way more now than I used to.
Yeah. So many points in what you just said, so many things, but I'll start with this. Andrew, they think they are doing that. I mean, and what I mean by that, like, you've just said that most folks, I don't know if you said most, but I'm saying most.
Yeah.
I'm going to say most are, channel managers are the traffic cops, right? Now, I've been training and ringing the bell and sounding the alarm on this for years, and most think that they're not what you say they are. Meanwhile, we know they are, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you say to them? What do you say? How do we get through?
Oh man. Well, I think the big thing you have to wake up partners about, and by the way, these are entrepreneurs, huge risk takers. They lay it on the line every single day. They, anybody that has started the business understands that. I know I do. And so these are not stupid people, right? I mean, these are certainly, we can become creatures of habit. I think the way that they have partners have traditionally built their businesses, which is more akin to kind of the traffic cop concept.
Yep.
They've been really successful doing that, right? The problem is the game has changed. You can't,
there it is.
You can't keep doing it the way you've always done it, right?
Yep.
If I don't have read option in my playbook anymore, if I'm then I'm going to get left behind, right? I gotta change things up, right?
Yeah.
Football
so reference, folks.
There you go. So I guess that is a hobby. That's a timely thing. I got fantasy football coming up here pretty soon right now. I mean,
that depends on when people are watching this and listening to this. So
that's true. That's true. Right. That's almost a year round thing now, though. So
Isn't it?
it's a bit of a problem. So I think to your question around, I think smart partners who aren't ready to check out, right? God bless the ones that have reached that point where they're like, hey, I built a hell of a business. I can exit. I can, retire. I can go do something else where I can relax. Amazing. Congratulations. I love that. But if you're not there yet, then you got to continue to recreate yourself, right? You got to continue to recreate your approach, your business on how you continue to be relevant to customers. Otherwise, they stop caring. And I think a really good example of that, agents in this industry, what have we always been really good at in helping customers accomplish? Like if you had to think of the number one thing that we lead with in messaging around any size customer, I can help you do what? What is it?
What is that? What?
Yeah, what is that? What would you guess? What would be the one thing? What is the one thing I can help you do?
I'd probably say something around efficiency, friction, that sort of thing. Get things done, not not get bogged down by the system, something like that.
Overcomplicating it. Save money. I can help you save money.
Oh, that's a recipe for
right?
Not being successful for that much longer.
I agree. But think about this. How many of our businesses have been built around this idea that I can cut your cost, right?
Yeah.
And we have built an entire industry around that simple concept. Give me your bills. I'll analyze your bills. I'll go find different vendors that can do it cheaper, right? Your contract's coming up new on your back in the day on a frame relay network. Now we're going to move you to MPLS. Now we're going to move you to, a VPN solution or SASE or SD-WAN or whatever, right? And what's the latest flavor? How can I cut your cost? And you can be consultative about that, right? You can certainly bring knowledge around how to drive cost out of the business better than many people who might be talking to that client. But you want to know what gets a customer's attention more than cutting cost? How can I make money?
100%.
How can I make money? Right? If I can get into the money engine of the business and show them how they can increase their profits as a company, how they can increase sales, drive top line revenue, my relevance to that business is way higher than the guy that can just come in and slash cost. Way higher.
Okay,
right?
we're about to go deep here.
All right.
Now, so for those of you that, first of all, everything that you're talking about, that's all in the blueprint the channel sells on Salus Academy. So if your channel managers haven't been through the course, they need to. It breaks down all of these things, not just the concepts, but giving them tools to be able to actually execute them. But here's the thing. So I'm going to talk about bring something to the table, Andrew, that people aren't thinking about. And it's an existential threat that's sitting right in our face.
Yeah.
So, and is a massive threat to the transactional seller.
Yeah.
And where I say it's in our face, it's because we're talking about it every single day. That thing we're talking about every single day is AI. And so it is a threat to the transactional partner. It is a threat to the transactional channel manager, because, I'll give you guys an example. I have a client of mine who we are currently working on a digital purchase path for them. It's a very technical product, but we are working on executing a digital path that won't touch any human beings. AI manages it, and this is not futuristic stuff. This is now, because you all are out there selling products that have AI embedded in those products. But you're not thinking about, if I'm a channel manager and all I do is traffic cop, I'm not as valuable as I was 5 years ago, 2 years ago. A lot of what I do can be replaced through AI. If I am a partner and I'm transactional selling, well, now, I mean, I've done this Maylee Langley and I have gone around the country doing some of these speeches, right? And one of the things she talks about in her speech is how millennial buyers buy, and how
Yeah.
millennial buyers basically, they could care less about talking to you. They want an easy path to buy. So if that's the case, and now we have a lot of millennial buyers that are decision makers,
Yep.
if you're selling a transactional product, they don't have to deal with you. They're not going to. They're
Right.
going to use
That's
that
right.
easy path.
Oh yeah.
So to your point, Andrew, you've got to be providing solutions. You've got
Yes.
to be embedding yourself in your, as a channel manager, in your partner's business, or as a partner in your customer's business. You got
Yep.
to know what matters to them beyond saving some bucks. Because
Yeah.
if that's just it, I'm telling you right now, as a partner, you're looking at your revenue decreasing. It's not going to
Right.
be increasing anymore. And then when you add to the fact that when people are implementing these AI, they're also driving down their cost. So
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
means that they can keep offering it lower and lower and lower.
Yes.
What are your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
I completely agree violently. I think there there's another aspect of this as well, and it's on the vendor side, on the supplier side, right? Um, the vendor models and their product strategies, their pricing models specifically, they're not evolving fast enough. Think of the conflict that is at the core of what they're doing right now. Companies that I have a ton of respect for, like Zoom, for example, that is developing at a pace I've never seen. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really remarkable. Nextiva, we spent time with them. They're same boat. They're doing some really cool things. Think of every CCaaS platform out there, every contact center as a service platform out there, right? They base their pricing consistently, all of them, on what? There's one kind of unit that you sell with them, right?
Yeah, seat or license.
Seats.
Yep.
Seats. How many seats? How many seats do you need? I have a 200 seat contact center. I have a 2,000 seat contact center. I have a whatever. Um, AI has completely flipped that on the head, because the whole point of AI is to be able to reduce seats, right?
Mm.
Okay. I'm going to reduce seats by either 100% automating a front end experience in a way that still delights a customer, so that interaction never gets to a live human. That's one way.
Yep.
So I have less interactions. I need less people to handle them. The other way on the back end is I'm using AI to make my agents radically more efficient so that they can handle more interactions successfully. Therefore, I need less people to do it, right?
Mhm.
If I am going to drive AI automation into my platform and I still have a seat-based pricing model, then those things conflict. They
Mm.
conflict, right? So if
Mhm.
I'm a CCAS brand, nice, just spent a shit ton of money for Cognigy, really cool company, really advanced tech around AI agents, voice AI. Their whole mission is to drive the number of seats down. Nice just bottom, while at the same time, Nice is trying to figure out how do we sell more seats,
Mm.
right? These brands haven't figured this out yet. And we're going to see a bit of a come to Jesus over the next, not like 2 years, dude. This stuff's moving way faster, right? In the next 3, 6, 8 months, you're going to start to see these types of brands have to radically reimagine how they price their services to just like comp plans drive behavior, right? Pricing drives customer consumption and how they make decisions, right? And in the brands that get out in front of that and figure out how they're going to radically change their pricing structures to align with this idea that we are driving huge efficiencies into a business where they're going to be able to do way more than they're doing today with a fraction of the team that they had yesterday, right? Brands
So
have to align with that.
so give me some of your insights. Give us some of your insight. Like if you were a channel chief at one of these CCAS, UCAS companies, and knowing this threat that's out there for them, what sort of advice would you give them? How do you restructure? What does that model look like, or what should it
Yeah.
look like?
Well, There's a couple things I'd reference. One is, I think on the vendor side, they have to get way more aggressive around this. This isn't something that they can figure out over the next 24 months. They will get replaced by newer brands that are doing radically different things. Okay, so your biggest CCaaS platforms out there, they have to tackle this issue right away, like literally measured in months. Right? How do we offer a completely different way to transact with us? And those transactions are going to have to be, in my opinion, not tied around seats, but tied around consumption. And there's a few ways to bake that, right? I mean, it could be tied to interactions. Based on how many interactions is our platform handling for you every month, and that's what you get charged around the number of interactions. It could be all consumption based, right? It literally has got to be a pricing model that incentivizes customers to move more and more towards AI and less, further away from a traditional seat model.
Yeah.
Now to do that,
Consumption.
to do that, there's some massive headwinds, right? Because, and agents know this well, and we'll get to their piece of this in a moment, because it's very disruptive to the agent model. And agents that get out in front of this are the ones that are going to win in this battle. But the agents, the vendors right now, they want seats, and they also ask for one other thing, right? You're going to buy X amount of licenses from me, but you're also going to commit to it, right? Like, I'm going to give you a hell of a deal if you're willing to sign a 3-year contract. Most of them are 3-year contracts, but if you're willing to go 4 or 5 years or more, I'm gonna slash your prices even more. I want to lock in not only a commitment to be a customer, but I want to lock in a seat level for the next 5 years. Who in the hell can predict how many seats they need 5 years from now?
Yeah.
Right? Especially in a world where automation is taking over faster and faster than we've ever seen before, ever. I always use the reference in 2023. It was the first year we have ever seen global contact center seats, butts and seats, go down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for generations, it's been going up every single year. Right? It got a little flatter. And in 2023, we started to see it decline.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Not because there's less interactions, not because there's less demand, but it's because of automation.
Yep.
And AI is completely blowing that up. People need to realize how quickly that's happening, right? I met with a guy from Fifth Third Bank, big modern bank, 18 months ago, and he introduced himself to me as an AI futurist. Okay. And went on to say that within 5 years, this was 18 months ago, within 5 years, 95% of contact center seats will go away. Okay. Now, I happen to believe that's a bit of hyperbole. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's 95.
That number's pretty aggressive.
That's really aggressive, right? Dude, it's not 20 either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Heck, if it was 10, that would be a big ass number.
Yeah.
Right? But my guess could be 30 or 40. And now, and think for a moment about the implication of that, right?
Oh yeah.
It's enormous. And I think brands have this struggle, especially the publicly traded ones. And we've seen what's happened with their stocks over the past year, right? I mean, they've all absolutely tanked, right? I mean, losing, like UCaaS vendors losing 90% of their value, right? I mean, it's alarming, right? But those are the same companies that are going to have to figure out, like, how do I convince my investors? How do I convince the street that, hey guys, we're going to take it on the chin here for the next 3 quarters, because we're going to shift our entire pricing model. But if we do this successfully, on the back end, we're going to be radically more profitable.
So you know what this reminds me of? It's just like, one of the things, like I said earlier in this conversation, Andrew, I'm a geek for business. And one of the things you learn about business is that there are very few things that are new. Now, technology evolves and all things, but in terms of the the way that successful businesses run, these lessons we've learned in the past. And this just reminds me of all, anytime a technology becomes commoditized,
Yeah.
right? Anytime it becomes commoditized and it's kind of a race to zero, they change the model to something like consumption models, like what you're talking about. Like, we look at long distance back in the day, right? Like
Yeah.
um, I started my career after that whole
Yeah.
boom, but during the long distance boom, it was a dollar a minute, and it kept going down and down and down. But I do remember the similarly in the cell phone days, it was the same thing. It was like, this is
Well,
how much per minute. And then at some point it became bundles, right? And it
right.
became, well,
Right.
you pay $50 and you get, X amount of minutes. Well, what the companies knew, they had already done the math. They know what the average amount of minutes that people were going to
Of
actually
course.
use. So they found ways to become more profitable through building those sorts of consumption or usage based pricing models, right? And what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you is that might be something that these CCAS and UCAS players might need to start seriously thinking about, maybe transitioning to models similar to that, where it's like, hey, listen, use as many seats as you want, but it's X amount of price, and
Yeah.
knowing that they have all the data, they know how
Yeah.
many what the usage actually looks like, so they can build that to be a super profitable model, because that's how the long distance companies hung on long enough to transition to some of the other technologies and
Right.
manage to stay profitable
That's
by
right.
building those sorts of pricing models.
In pricing strategies, there's a really, really valuable word called breakage, right?
Breakage. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Breakage. And that was built into every one of those bundles that you and I know really, really well. There's a difference here, Ronnell. There's a difference here because in those pricing models, the fundamental kind of foundation of those services
Yeah.
didn't change, right?
True.
Right. The technology evolved for sure. It got more efficient, could do things better, faster, and so forth. But fundamentally, it didn't change. They just changed how they packaged up the utilization of that model, right? And it was really effective. I mean, I remember those days very, very well. What's different here is fundamentally the model has changed. The foundation is changing radically. But here's what the good news is, and this is where forward-thinking partners really need to spend time getting their minds wrapped around it, and then like act, like get out in front of this very, very quickly. I believe in deep in my heart that we're about to see the largest transfer of wealth in our industry in our lifetime.
To tell.
I talk about it in the context of what I've coined as the monetization of labor. It's not a complicated concept. Here's the deal. The most expensive line item for any business is what?
Payroll.
Payroll, by far and away, right?
You see the lack. That's when you know you're talking to an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's right.
Zero
That's right.
hesitation.
You've covered payroll. You know exactly what that is. Yeah, no doubt, man. Oh my God. When has this industry, think of sellers, agents, channel managers, right? When have we ever been able to make money on that? Right? There's a BPO element, right? I can sell BPO services at skinny margin and outsource contact center seats, that kind of stuff. But outside of that, how have I ever been able to make money on labor?
Okay.
I don't. I sell them the technology that their labor force utilizes, that they consume, right? Their customers, they consume. Dude, every single dollar that is shifting from labor spend to technology spend becomes a recurring revenue opportunity for this channel. And so what we're seeing just right now as we're speaking, hundreds of billions of dollars is shifting from labor spent into hundreds of millions of dollars in technology spend. And as that accelerates, the partners out there that get out ahead of that and help their customers figure out how to make that transition more effectively and faster more efficiently, right? Those are the partners that are going to make more money than we've ever seen in this channel.
What do you think the technologies are that are at the forefront of that?
Well, it's all driven by AI and where AI is going next. So fundamentally, it's automation, right? As AI becomes progressively smarter, and it can carry a larger load of what labor has always been, right? Uh, those fundamental technologies are the ones that are going to drive this. In the contact center, it's an easy proxy, right? Because I can now successfully automate, if I can automate 30, 40, 50%, 60, 70, 80% of interactions with customers, and I can do it in a way without pissing off customers, which brands have been very good at automating experiences that result in really angry customers.
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, you've experienced that. I've experienced that. Um, I call it automation gone wrong. Um,
What I would say to that, though, also, Andrew, is part of that is just because the technology wasn't evolved enough. Like they were more dumb machines,
yeah,
and now with the integration of AI, that kind of changes.
it does. But I'd also caution us because uh, there are what is the number I saw? I think it was something like 2,000 AI companies in the U.S. have started in the past 12 months.
Okay.
Right? You and I could start a business tomorrow and just slap AI on it, and suddenly we're an AI company. Doesn't
Mhm.
mean we know what the hell we're doing, right? But we're pretty good at we could pretty good, we could be pretty convincing, right? So
Heck
maybe
yeah.
we could convince a customer to buy into this. They're going to be disappointed. There's a ton. I mean, another stat recently I saw 65% of AI projects are failing.
Interesting.
65%,
Ooh,
which
hold
means
on,
they're
pause on that real
yeah,
quick.
yeah,
Do y'all hear opportunity there?
right? Right?
Continue, Andrew.
Yeah. I mean, so everybody's trying to figure it out. It's a much shorter list of brands that are actually sticking the landing, right? Here's an interesting stat for you. Boost AI, really cool company based out of
Mhm.
Norway. They're expanding aggressively into North America. Their most impressive stat right now is 49%. 49% of their existing customers come from other failed implementations.
Jeez.
They're like, they haven't said, hey, let's go educate the world around why you should migrate to an AI bot or AI voice chat, whatever, right? They're saying, hey, all of you that have tried this and have failed, never got out of POC, spent months trying to figure it out, and it just never achieved the kind of automation and containment rates that you were expecting. Come talk to us. We know how to execute that, right? We know how to get to the outcomes you've been wanting to get to and have failed to accomplish so far. So I say that because you got to be really smart about what vendors you pick that can really stick the landing here. There's going to be a lot of failed experiments. That's just natural. There's going to be a lot of failed experiments, right? Um, I mean, back in the day when we started to sell, like early days of hosted voice over IP.
Mhm.
You remember those days, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
Boy,
Customer,
do
this
I.
is
So
this
the
is
challenge
this
back
is
then
really
was
cool. This is really cool. You can do some really cool stuff, and it's going to work like really well most of the time.
so I in the very beginning, because I've always tried to be on the forefront. Like if technology advances, like I want to lean into it, I want to understand it, figure out how to monetize it. So Andrew, I had hired a team of sellers to go knock doors to sell voice over IP residential, right? In the little boxes. I forget the company. This is almost 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and it all made sense. It's like, hey,
Oh
you just
yeah.
plug it in, and it's going to cost you only $30. All made sense, but it made no sense. Meaning that when you're at kind of like the beginning of that, it's so hard for people to conceptualize and understand what it is. Now it's just ubiquitous, right? But back
Yeah.
then you're
Yeah.
trying to explain. So, but if you're the one that can, to your point, in
Yep.
and some of these challenges with AI and everything, if you're the one that can bring the solution, you can articulate it and you can execute it. And what I'm
Yes.
hearing from you is that this is an amazing time for you. So
Oh my God.
it's super noisy, but here's the thing about noise. I love noise because
Yes.
a lot of people are singing the same tune. And
Yeah.
so
Oh
when
yeah.
so when you're able to come into a noisy environment like that, where to the point that you made, and it's been my experience as well, where there's a lot of people that are unsuccessful,
Yep.
and you can come in with a solution, with a solid solution and credibility and proof, you could crush it.
Oh yeah, no question. I I think there's a lot of business models that we have seen work, really well for a long time that are going to completely get disrupted, right? It's already happening. I think of one example. Think of outbound dialers.
Yeah.
Any company that's doing a bunch of high volume outreach to consumers, right? They're making tens of thousands of calls a day or millions of calls a month, whatever it might be. It's a big number. And they do that through dialers and they're trying to get dialers to be smarter and all that kind of stuff. And what they're up against right now is it's our fault. It's Ronnell, it's me, it's every other consumer out there. And it's this, right? If you call me and I don't recognize your number, are you picking up that call?
Nope.
Of course not, right? Of course you're not. And so we have seen in the outbound dialer world, you've seen connect rates just go right through the floor, absolutely plummet. And businesses that were built around making money by well, I'll just make more calls, right? And I'll have a dialer that can make more calls. That's being completely disrupted. There's a really cool company called Drips right now that has built out this really amazing algorithm um, that leverages SMS,
Yep.
predominantly SMS, right?
Yep.
And in a fully compliant way. And they do these quote drip campaigns where they're pinging consumers in a member list, right? That are like have consented, and they're doing these touches through SMS in an automated fashion, and their connect rates are like 10x more than what
100%. Yep.
traditional dialers are. 10x. They're doing collections use cases that one bank has seen a 40% increase in collected revenue over what their dialer operations have typically done. 40% increase in revenue.
Mhm.
Again, how do I make more money? Right? How do I make more money? So those types of things, it's like if you're in the market, and think of you as an agent now. If a customer asks me, I need a better dialer, and then I turn around as the traffic cop and I go to my TSD and I say, I need quotes from 3 different dialers,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
then I turn around and go back to that customer, here are 3 dialers, right? And I give them pricing and we go through that process, and maybe I get lucky and they buy one. Or an agent says, Mr. Customer, let's push pause just for a moment. Suppose for a moment you didn't need a dialer. What if there was a radically better way to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I could do it for less money, and I can actually generate more revenue for you on the back end
Mm-hmm.
using a completely different approach to this whole problem. That's a great example, right? That's a great example of how you become relevant.
Horrific example, and I'm right there with you. And this is what I do, Andrew. Traveling around the country, trying to educate people around the importance of discovery and understanding what matters the most to our clients and to our customers. Right. So what you're saying is the same thing that I'm saying, which is, okay, we got to, first of all, we have to have a solution mindset. We got to think about the outcomes that people want. What is the outcome? That person, They don't just want more calls or people that dial. There's an outcome that they want. And once we understand what the outcome is, then we go ahead and reverse engineer a solution that makes sense in order to achieve that outcome. Right. And to your point, with the evolution of technology, it's not just the traffic cop approach of, okay, here, save more money.
Right.
No,
right.
We got to really be focused on creating solutions. But here's the fun thing about this. Here's the fun thing about where we're at right now. And, tap back into the recesses of your brain to 30 years ago and, in 40 years and 20 years when you're running all your companies, and thinking and how we were so focused on like one technology. Now we're in a tech stack area. It's easier, or era rather, it's easier than ever to create real solutions, right?
Yeah.
So if as a partner, if I'm selling one product and I got to make and I did this back when I started my business, I take my one product and I'm going to make it fit in terms of a narrative to how it impacts what you care the most about. Well, now I may come to the table with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 products, different, so where I can really create a solution that just isn't a product centric solution based upon that one product that I bring to the table. So, like, to your point, it's there. The opportunity is probably, I don't know, maybe I'm putting these words in your mouth. You can tell me whether whether it's right or not. But the opportunity is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
However, the threats are also larger than they've ever been.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah,
we're
no
on
doubt.
the same page.
Yeah, well, absolutely we are, because I would dare say most in the partner community will not make this transition well.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But that's kind of always been the case, right? I mean, 80-20 rules alive and well in this industry, no question.
Yeah.
The top trusted advisors out there are going to change the way they approach conversations with customers, how they think. They're gonna feel more emboldened to like challenge a customer's thinking. Maybe it's 80%, maybe it's 90% of agents out there that would get that request for a dialer and then turn around and go find 3 dialer options.
Yep.
And it's the 5, 10, 15% of agents out
90.
there they're gonna stop. Maybe it's so if it's 90, right? So maybe it's 10% that are gonna say, time out, Mr. Customer. I want to challenge you to think maybe a little differently about this, right?
But here's one thing. I will cut them some slack. And this is where the problem is much bigger. Like, there is a cultural change that needs to happen. Because here's where I will speak up for that channel manager, because they're going to tell me, I'm going to get calls from channel chiefs after. Thanks, Andrew. I'm going to get calls from channel chiefs after this. They're going to be like, well, the partner, they're the ones that say that. The partners don't want to talk about it. The partners just want us to give them a quote. And I can't disagree. I won't disagree. But what I'm saying, and I think you'll probably agree with me, is that we need a cultural shift. And shifting and change isn't easy. It's hard and it hurts at times. But I think the ones that really lean into making that change are going to be the ones that make it through this, because we're seeing so many that aren't making it. We're seeing it right now. So if you put your hand in the sand, you put that hand down in the dirt like a football player and say, no, this is what we're going to stand on. Listen, you want us to do a quote? Boom, we have to do this. We're going to do a discovery because we want to make sure that we're providing solutions, and you separate. We get enough people doing that and seeing the success from that. And over time, that'll start to be what we do, how we operate in business, which is drastically different than how it's been in the past, but it's necessary.
It absolutely is. Let's talk about the channel manager for a moment.
Okay.
Because this bugs me. All right. And you probably have seen this. I know I see it a lot. I literally recently had a channel manager schedule a call with a partner and got on the call and said, Mr. Partner, want to introduce you to Andrew Pryfogle. He runs the CX and AI practice at Avant and has some really interesting background, blah, blah, blah. Andrew, why don't you take it from here? That was it, right? Just, Andrew, you're on. It's like, hey, monkey, sing, or like, right? It's like, what am I here to entertain you? What am I, right? And that kind of setup where a channel manager pulls together a partner with a vendor, or a couple of vendors, they become a coordinator. They're an event coordinator, right? They pull people together, they get them in the room, and then they back out and they say, okay, I've done my part. I think that is a recipe for failure right now. And then I think of somebody like, how about this? Kim Starrow. Okay. Kim Starrow She runs a channel in the Mid-Atlantic for Avant. She's remarkable. We had a meeting with Lucas Salvage.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas and Kim and myself met with a customer all day, had a full day meeting at our battle lab in Dallas, and they flew in for it. And Kim, who organized the whole thing, sat in that meeting as an incredibly active participant, as a channel manager,
Mm-hmm.
asking questions, proposing ideas, challenging thinking, right? She was well versed enough to do it. She was confident enough to do it. And her value in that process went right through the roof, right? Right through the roof. And if you asked a Lucas Salvage about how indispensable Kim Starro is to his business, he would tell you right now, right?
She's conducting the music like a great and this, guys, these are on my courses, just so you know.
That's good. But that's why, I mean, what I just described that Kim Starro does, a fraction of channel managers are capable of doing that, because what they've been drilled into is it's just about you connecting people. It's the traffic cop, right? If I just get the right vendor connected to the right partner and I've done my job, let them take it from there. And the channel managers that say, no, I need to provide real value to my partners so that they can be in a better position to serve their client. That's a rarity in channel managers, but it's what is really desperately needed right now.
Andrew, we are kind of touching on a subject that will require us to have a whole nother show, and we could. So I might be inviting you back just to talk about that, because the challenge that faces us right now takes a retraining and a retooling. And while I'm critical of certain things, and you're critical of certain things, I also realize that people have never been trained any different. They're just products of this environment, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. I want you, gosh, I could talk to you forever. You are so easy to talk to. But we got to wrap this bad boy up in a bow and put a pin in this for our next conversation. We might have a new show. We'll call it The Hat, and I don't know. So I got to think of a good. Maybe I'll find my own accessory. But as we kind of close this out, because again, I can talk to you forever. You have such a wealth of knowledge and such great experience. But I would like you to leave each one of those two target audiences that we just talked about, the channel managers and the partners. I want you to leave them with one piece of information they can take away from this in terms of, hey, listen, if I'm you, I'm thinking about this moving forward in the future. This is going to help me to be, and you've dropped so many tidbits, but I want to wrap it up in a kind of a cute little bow here at the end to where people can take something really prescriptive from this and say, okay, cool. Andrew said this. I'm going to focus on that. So let's start with the channel managers. What's one thing that you'd like channel managers to take from this and start to apply to their lives and their business to be more successful?
Right. So the mistake that we make in sales a lot is we believe that our job is to give to the customer what they want. And what I would tell you, especially today, that it's our job to show customers what they need. And so that's a very different approach. Goes right to the core of the traffic cop thing. So let's translate that into a channel manager first. What do partners want? They want a quote fast. They want to get paid on time. They want help on an escalation. It's all important, right? But a channel manager, if that's all they do, they're easily replaceable. There's lots of people that'll do that. The channel manager that can say to them, hey, I will give you what you want, right? I'm gonna satisfy those requirements that you have there, but I'm also gonna show you what you need. This is what you need as a business owner in this new age, right? And come with that critical thinking. Be ready to challenge them. Be bold enough to challenge them. Don't be afraid to do that, right? and come in with insights that really help that partner get their mind wrapped around what they have to do next and what they have to do differently, right? What do they need? And then on the partner side, exact same thing translates to their customer relationship. They have built their business on providing their customer what the customer has wanted. And in going forward, they're going to have to build their business on challenging customers around what they need.
I love it. Way to land that plane, my friend.
Right.
Beautiful. Andrew, listen, this was a blast, man. And I again, so grateful and appreciative that you'd come onto the show and have this conversation with me. And I'm appreciative of all my guests that understand what they're getting into when you get on this thing. There's going to be some vulnerability. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. But one thing I've learned about you in the short time that we've become better acquainted is that I don't think that is something that scares you very much. So thanks again for coming and hanging out with us. And if people want to connect with you more deeply, what's the best platform? How should they be following you? How should they be connecting with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is still the best way to reach out to me. Pryfogle on LinkedIn. And I love to engage with partners. I love to have these kinds of conversations. Thanks for having me, Ronnell. It's been it's always energizing to hang out with a like-minded person on, how to be successful in this space, right?
Yep. Next time I'm wearing a hat, though. Next time you're not going to be the only guy with the hat. Okay.
I want to see it.
Hey, thank you all again for hanging out with us. I really appreciate the time that you spend watching us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and all the other platforms that we're on. I understand how valuable your time is, and hope that the investment that you make in this show has a return that is impactful to your business. And I want to hear what things you guys are concerned about. We want to make sure that we're addressing it on this show because, as I've said, there are things we can talk about on here that a lot of folks are unable to talk about on those shows, and we want to talk about them. We want to provide solutions for them. It's all about growth mindset and helping to honor the great heritage of our business and making sure that we're still around here in the future, man. Because as much as there's an opportunity, like we just talked about on this show, there's some very significant threats that we need to be aware of if we're going to make it through. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you share it with your friends. And till next time, we'll see you. Thanks for tuning in to Shut the Hell Up and Sell Unfiltered. If you found today's conversation valuable, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the show. For more resources, including gap assessments, custom sales consulting, or online courses designed to take your sales game to the next level, visit me at ronnellrichards.com or head over to sayless.academy. Until next time, remember, stop talking, start listening, and shut the hell up and sell.
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out.